Good morning. I'd like to welcome you, the members of the Stoughton Fire Department and the Stoughton Firefighters Local 1512 would like to welcome you all to our annual Firefighters Memorial Sunday ceremony. To begin the day, if I could call Maddie Peck to the microphone to sing our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Thank you, Maddie. If you could please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, Maddie is the daughter of Lieutenant Mike Peck and the granddaughter of retired firefighter Roy Peck. Thank you, Maddie. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can sit now. I'd now like to call retired Deputy Chief Paul Roach Jr. for our opening prayer.
Almighty and ever-living God, we gather today to celebrate the members of the Stoughton Fire Department, active, retired, and deceased. We thank you for calling them to serve you through your people. This morning we pray for your protective care for all the men and women of the fire service in our country, but particularly in this community. Keep them safe and bless their families who face the worry of sharing them with the dangers of their work. Comfort them in times of trial. We pray for the retired, those members here today, and for those who cannot be with us for other reasons, for they have turned the watch over to those who have taken their place. Grant them health and happiness in retirement. For the deceased members, whose names we will call in honor here this morning, may they share in your love and presence for eternity. Each of these members have served you through serving others, as you have deigned their mission. On this special day, our thoughts and prayers always turn to our fallen brothers, Firefighter Edward F. Kelleher and Firefighter Victor C. Melendi, both of whom gave their lives in the line of duty. We shall always remember their sacrifice, as well as the sacrifice of their loved ones, when each of those young families were shaken and tested. May your love and mercy stay with them always. These are the prayers of our lips and the prayers of our heart. Hear them and heed them as we pray they be in accord with your will. Amen.
Welcome to Stoughton Fire Department. Firefighters Sunday is a day where firefighters, both active and retired, get together to remember our brothers and sisters for the sacrifices given to help protect the property and lives of the citizens of Stoughton and beyond. The word sacrifice is a word that has become commonplace in our society today. Such as in baseball, a sacrifice bunt is where a hitter gives up his chance for a hit and bunts the ball, sacrificing himself to advance another base runner, sacrificing his statistics for the betterment of the team. Webster's dictionary defines the word sacrifice as follows: sacrifice, the act of giving up something that you want to keep, especially in order to do something for or to help someone else. Stoughton firefighters routinely sacrifice themselves for the team and the residents of Stoughton. With one of the busiest call volumes in the area, on-duty Stoughton firefighters, staffed from 9 men to 11 men per shift, can be seen daily assisting the citizens of Stoughton and the surrounding mutual aid communities on an average of 5,400 times per year, around the clock. Firefighters and their families make sacrifices daily, whether it be days away from their families, holidays away from their families and friends, exposures to injuries suffered in the performance of their duties, mental injuries and stress from what they see on a regular basis, or the ultimate sacrifice when a firefighter loses his or her life in the performance of their duties, as seen recently in Boston with the losses of Boston firefighters Lieutenant Ed Walsh and firefighter Michael Kennedy, or 19 and a half years ago when the Melendi family, the Stoughton Fire Department, lost their husband, father, and our brother, Victor C. Melendi. Even while off-duty, firefighters give of themselves. Last year, Captain Bob O'Donnell, while at the finish line of the Boston Marathon, waiting to see his son Bob Jr. cross the finish line for the first time, well, 2 bombs were detonated. Putting his own safety aside, not knowing his son's fate, Bob jumped into action and assisted in saving countless lives. Or Chief Mark Doloff, while on a Caribbean vacation, performed CPR on a person while at the beach, saving that person's life. And more recently, in Canton, at the Irish Cultural Center on May 3rd, several Stoughton firefighters were out on their time off attending a boxing match involving Gerald Schiffoni, son of Michael Schiffoni, who's here in the back of the room. Lieutenant Brad Newbury was sitting next to a woman in the crowd. Her husband said, "Something is wrong with my wife." Brad turned to see a pulseless, breathless woman. Knowing other Stoughton firefighters were present, Brad immediately called for his brother firefighters and the detail ambulance crew on scene to assist. Members both past and present of the Stoughton Fire Department jumped into action and performed life-saving techniques and CPR on this woman. And at this time, I'd like to call these firefighters forward. Lieutenant Brad Newbury, Firefighter Peter Danino, Firefighter Ryan Cabral, and current West Bridgewater firefighter and former Stoughton firefighter Paul McCafferty, who's made his way to be with us today. You could come forward to the podium. Several of the firefighters did have engagements today, but I would also like to call Jessica Bolt to the podium. Certificate of recognition presented to, this is for firefighter Paul McCafferty, for your quick assessment and valiant efforts that led to the life-saving recovery of a fellow citizen. Your actions are an inspiration to the members of our community and the Stoughton Fire Department on this 8th day of June 2014. Signed, Chief of Department Mark W. Doloff, Interim Deputy Gregory Goldberg. This is for Paul McCafferty. Sacrifice. If not for their actions, the outcome most likely would have not been what we just saw today. Well, many of the skills that the firefighters in front of you, or actually in front of you but behind me, learned were taught to us at the Mass Fire Academy. But these skills were polished and honed by the gentleman to my right and your left, some sitting in front of me, some standing in the crowd. Speaking for myself, I can personally thank people like Roy Peck, took me under his wing, and I still have his locker. Still says Jurassic Peck inside from when he retired. Manny Costa, Brent Bishop, Victor Melendi, Charlie Fallon, John Fallon, Dan Riley, Frank Noe, Leo McGowan, Unky, Jim Fowler, Henry Chipman, Ed Carroll, Bob O'Donnell, Leon Silva, Dave Jardin Sr., and Mark Doloff. These are just some of the names of the guys, some who are still working here, most of who have retired, who personally helped me on my journey as a firefighter. These are the men who were making the sacrifices long before us. And for these gentlemen, we are indebted to you. These are the men who define the meaning of firefighter to me. And that definition is as follows. Firefighter, a person with care and compassion, sacrifices of himself, possibly placing himself in danger or harm's way to assist or protect a person in need and preserve property. Thank you, gentlemen. Now that's my long wing. Now I'd like to call to the podium Chief of Department, Mark Doloff.
Thank you, Greg. What a nice job. We actually have a couple mutual aid companies here today as well. Mike from Lakeville. Mike grew up in Stoughton, wanted to become a firefighter in Stoughton, but it just didn't work out at the time. And also we got Mr. McCafferty, who once served with us and now serves for the town of West Bridgewater. So we'll have to be leaving him today to help take care of a couple of barn fires, I'm sure, later. So Firefighter Sunday. What is Firefighter Sunday? Today we pay tribute and remember those who join us not only in spirit today, but those who still stand among us that chose the profession of being a firefighter. A lot of things have changed for the fire department over the years. Our qualifications, our certifications, our types of responses. For instance, when I first started here, we still carried a horse hoist and a hay spear. It was on our second ladder company. That's something I don't think we're going to need too often in Stoughton nowadays. Also, we look at the size of trucks. I want to thank Mr. Brisky for bringing the old Engine 2 Maxim down that was actually in service in this department in the mid-50s, and I was talking to retired Lieutenant Joe Ruccio, and that was in service when he actually came to work here in 1955. I'm not sure how many other gentlemen here out of the retirees actually worked on that truck as well, which you think back, and that's amazing to think that truck, that this gentleman here that served on that truck. But what those gentlemen then and the gentlemen today that take on the job of a firefighter, we share the same core value, as well as the gentlemen that are on the roll call we will read today, the ones that have passed. That core value hasn't changed at all. It is saving lives and helping people in need during their worst of times. Today's firefighter continues to move forward and provide that same core value, whether on or off duty, as we heard from those examples. They're always willing to step forward and make a difference in a complete stranger's life. For that, I'm proud to be part of such a great profession. With such a large group of past and present members that showed and continue to show such dedication to saving lives and helping people. Thank you. This time, I'd also like to thank Lieutenant Curtin and the members of Local 1512. I believe it's either the 3rd or 4th anniversary of the Indian Lions Club, Liars Club, not Lions, Liars Club dinner. The union pays for and invites all past members and present members of the fire department to a fantastic roast beef dinner at Station 1.
Nice speech, Chief. You're knocking him dead.
I must say that was an incredible response time. The National Fire Protection Agency likes to see us respond within 4 minutes. That just brought our average way down. Yeah. So once again, thanking Lieutenant Curtin and the members of Local 1512 for having such a great meal last night. Providing that for all the members who previously served in this great profession. The only complaint was there was no dessert. And we like to joke that we have to do this once a year because they're all on a fixed income. I'd also like to thank all the wives and family members of firefighters for putting up with working holidays, weekends, and now as we enter that fantastic weather, vacation time of the year, mandated overtime. It never comes at a convenient time. It really puts a strain on the home life, and I just want to thank the wives and families for sticking by us during that difficult time of the year. Once again, I've made a note here, and I want to make this announcement before I forget. Thanking Joe McCrisky, Selectman McCrisky, for bringing the old 55 Maxim down, and my note, so I don't forget, we'd love to have a picture with all the retirees in front of that truck for historical purposes for us. At the end of the ceremonies, if we take a moment to go pose for a picture of that truck. I also would like to thank one more person, put in a lot of effort, actually puts in a lot of effort every day. That's Acting Deputy Chief Greg Goldberg. He accomplishes a lot during the course of the day, and he has to put up with me and all the things I delegate to him. So I want to thank him. And now I would like to take a moment to present Career Service Awards. This is a program the State Fire Marshal's Office started approximately 25, 30 years ago. And it recognizes gentlemen who have chosen this career for their years of service. It starts at 20 years and goes all the way up to 40 years. I don't believe, maybe Captain O'Donnell might make that, but I don't know of anybody else that can make the 40 years. So at this time, I'd like to call forward Captain Scott Breen. From the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Fire Service Commission presents Massachusetts Fire Service Award to Captain Scott Breen of the Stoughton Fire Department in grateful appreciation and recognition of 25 years of dedicated fire service as a career firefighter on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Mass Firefighter Service Award to Deputy Chief Craig Goldberg, Stoughton Fire Department, in grateful appreciation and recognition for his 25 years of dedicated service. The next one, I don't believe he's present. I don't see him. Would be presented to Firefighter Fred K. Little of the Stoughton Fire Department for his recognition of 25 years of dedicated service as a career firefighter. And then last but not least, I believe he's here. If not, we'll hear him soon. This is presented to Firefighter Michael Schiffoni, Stoughton Fire Department, in grateful appreciation and recognition of your 25 years of dedicated fire service. Mike. He's wearing the new uniform of the day of the Stoughton Fire Department. Once again, thank you everyone for attending Firefighter Sunday, this annual event. It's always great to see all the people and faces and families of people I've known for quite a few years. And see the gentleman that I worked with. Actually, every member over there I worked with. They were all here when I started on the job. Let's see, I'm in my 32nd year, so thank you.
Now I'd like to call to the podium. Welcome from the Firefighters Local 1512, Lieutenant James Curtin, who is also the president of Local 1512. Jim.
Thank you all for coming out. I see that I didn't tell anybody last night, but I did. Most of our retirees are here. In fact, I think there's more here today than there tonight. But the reason that we do that is because firefighters don't forget. We remember where we came from. We remember what you guys have laid for the groundwork for us. We remember the support that you always give us. And then that, in July, 2 members of Local 1512 will be going out to Cincinnati to the International Association of Firefighters Convention. One of the biggest reasons for us going out there is there's an article to be voted on out there. It's a $3.5 million article. It's a $3.5 million undertaking by the International Association of Firefighters to show that we do not forget those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. So as we were looking into this new wall out in Colorado Springs, they're actually going to expand it so that they can have the names of every firefighter who died in the line of duty since the inception of the IAFF back in 1918. So in doing so, we started checking the line of duty database for the International Association of Firefighters and the professional firefighters in Massachusetts. And we found that one of our firefighters did not get the honors that he deserved through some, whatever happened. So to the Kelleher family, because I see you out there, Eddie was never registered with the PFFM or the International Association of Firefighters. We're working hard to make sure that when that new wall gets put up, it should be done in 2015, in which we'll be sending out a contingent. Eddie's name should be on that wall. In honoring our past firefighters, we also have to turn to present-day firefighters. They do a fantastic job. Over 5,000 times a year they're called upon to go into action. They are not just renowned for their EMS abilities in the local area, but also statewide, from East Coast to West Coast and around the world. Many of you might not know this, but we actually have people that come from other countries to come in and see the EMS system that serves the citizens of Stoughton every day. And they use us as their pilot program to try and better serve the people in their communities. We've had people here from Australia. We have doctors ride with us from Germany, from Ireland, England, and Scotland. So you can be proud of these guys. And there's one thing that I kind of want to put out there, because everybody kind of always asks this question: why does that big red truck have to go with the ambulance? Well, back in these guys' days, when Roy Peck was driving the Cadillac ambulance, all they did was they put him on the bed, they threw him in the back, and off to the hospital they went. It's a lot more technical, it's a lot more sophisticated. It takes a lot of training and upkeep of skills that these guys perform every day. And the reason that that big red truck goes there is we're not just throwing them in the back. They deliver exceptional care. And if you wanted to see it in action, yesterday was a perfect day because out of the 17 calls that we did yesterday, 6 times we had to detail additional manpower off of that truck to make sure that the person in the back of that ambulance got the proper care that they deserved. So I'd like to thank you all for coming out here today. You are the ones that support us. You are the ones that give us the strength to do what we do all the time. We just came from an educational convention out in Framingham. And I do have to say, I'm glad to see you guys still here because of the job that we do and what we're called to do on a daily basis, because we're called on to take our hearts and take them from a resting heart rate and fire them up to 900 miles an hour all in about 2 or 3 seconds. Firefighters are 300% more likely to have heart attacks than the general public. So after all your years of service, we're glad to see that you're still here with us. We're glad to see that you enjoyed the dinner last night. And Jack, next year I'll have ice cream for you. Thank you.
I'd also like to, at this point in time, recognize members of the Board of Selectmen who are present. We have Chairman Thomas Recupero, Cynthia Walsh, Vice Chair Joseph McCrisky, and Robert O'Regan present, and I'd like to thank them for being here. And Thomas Recupero would like to come up and say a few brief words.
My thanks to the Deputy Chief and the Chief and all the firefighters past and present here today for the invitation to all the board members, and to myself particularly for the opportunity to come up here and say a few words. And as I was thinking about what I would say today, it struck me how nobody calls firefighters for any happy occasions. And even when something joyous like the birth of a child might happen, there's panic and concern and certainly worry on that end, but in this end of the phone there's always just 2 thoughts. One is how quickly can we respond and how quickly we can fix it. And there's a great deal of admiration from someone like me who, sure, we have different professions. We all deal with misery in our own ways, but that I couldn't do. I appreciate that. I was also thinking as I was collecting my thoughts about a book that I read, some teacher made me read it, of course, going back 40 years, written by a rabbi by the name of Harold Kushner, whose young son passed away, and he was grappling with the idea of how a guy who had dedicated his life to the worship of God, who was all about love and happiness and compassion, how he could allow something bad to happen to his, I think, 13 or 14-year-old son who died of a genetic disease. So Harold Kushner wrote a book called When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It struck me how we have that luxury to sit around and wonder why bad things can happen to good people. We can wrestle with questions about the how and the why, and you know, how could this happen to me in particular? I'm a decent person. Firefighters don't have that luxury, and I think that's why we have days like this, is because we ask you to turn that part of your brain off for just a little while and just act and respond and fix things. So on this day, while the rest of us still have that part of our brains active all the time, and you today do as well, I think I'm here on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, Cynthia Walsh, Robert O'Regan, Joseph McCrisky, to say we get it, and to thank you for that. And enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day. I don't think there could be a better day to honor firefighters past and present than this. And again, we get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. We went to high school together. Just wanted to also give everybody a heads up. A gentleman who wasn't feeling well is feeling better now, so he's in the kitchen, getting cool right now. This time I'd also like to thank Ted Phillips from Lou Kafka's office, if you could just stand and recognize. Okay, it's now time to do the roll call. I'd like to call Firefighter David Jardin and Lieutenant James Curtin.
Calling the roll. Charles Wade, 1948, Fire Lieutenant. William Corbett, 1952, Captain, Call Fire Department. Everett Winship, 1959, Fire Lieutenant. Chester Smith, 1961, Deputy Fire Chief. Arthur Dykeman, 1964, Call Firefighter. Edward Kelleher, 1966, Permanent Firefighter, Line of Duty Death. Kenneth Roach, 1966, Call Firefighter. Wallace Billings, 1969, Permanent Firefighter. Frederick H. Pye, 1971, Chief of Department. Ronald Campbell, 1976, Captain, Auxiliary Fire Department. John F. Connors, 1977, Call Firefighter. Bernard Smith, 1981, Call Firefighter. William McNamara, 1982, Call Firefighter. Leo F. Roach, 1985, Permanent Firefighter. Eugene O'Neill, 1987, Permanent Firefighter. David Beals, 1989, Permanent Firefighter. Robert Buckley, 1989, Call Firefighter. Eugene Palucci, 1992, Call Firefighter. James H. Fowler, 1994, Deputy Fire Chief. Louis Lasivita, 1994, Call Firefighter. Victor C. Melendi, 1995, Permanent Firefighter, Line of Duty. Elmer Lothrop, 1995, Call Firefighter. Clyde Holmes, 1995, Permanent Firefighter. Milton Bishop Jr., 1996, Call Firefighter. Arthur Royal Madden Sr., 1996, Call Firefighter. John E. Noonan Jr., 1997, Fire Lieutenant. Emmett Ouellette, 1999, Call Firefighter. Leo Riley, 2000, Call Firefighter. James M. Harron, 2000, Permanent Firefighter. Edward Lyons Sr., 2001, Call Firefighter. Harold Moore, 2002, Call Firefighter. Pat Catalano, 2002, Permanent Firefighter. James Purcell, 2002, Fire Lieutenant, Call Firefighter. Robert Blair, 2002, Call Firefighter. Ronald Leaf, 2005, Call Firefighter. Earl Bud McMahon, 2006, Call Firefighter. Richard Dick Cherry, 2007, Call Firefighter. John Mo Moriarty, 2007, Call Firefighter. John J. McIlerney, 2007, Permanent Firefighter. John R. Lacasse, 2008, Fire Captain. Radford O. Wilbur, 2009, Permanent Firefighter. Arthur M. Corbett, 2009, Deputy Fire Chief. Charles Lindsay, 2009, Permanent Firefighter. Harold H. Sprague Jr., 2010, Call Firefighter. Ronald Bishop, 2010, Fire Lieutenant. Joseph Kelly, 2010, Fire Lieutenant. Eldon F. Mo Morrill, 2012, Houseman. Paul J. Rhodes Sr., 2012, Chief of Department. William Miller, 2012, Fire Mechanic. Richard Fontana Rosa, 2013, Permanent Firefighter. Charles Lodge, 2013, Fire Lieutenant. We'd also like to remember Fran Stetson, 2013, Administrative Assistant. And Beryl Melamed, former dispatcher, 2012.
I'd like to call Lieutenant J. McNamara and Firefighter Tim Carroll for the placing of the wreath at the flag. I have Firefighter Justin Goldberg and Captain James Bertram for the raising of the flag, and Firefighter David Jardin to toll the bell. Now I'd like to call Lieutenant James Campbell to the podium for the reading of the Firefighter's Prayer.
The Firefighter's Prayer. When I am called to duty, God, whenever flames may rage, give me strength to save some life, whatever be its age. Help me embrace a little child before it is too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert and hear the weakest shout, and quickly and efficiently to put the fire out. I want to fill my calling and to give the best in me, to guard my every neighbor and protect his property. And if according to my fate I am to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and my wife.
Thank you, Jim. Last year, I had seen a poem on YouTube, and I got quite a response, so I'm going to actually read that again. And that will just about conclude the ceremony, and that with this poem and a couple of quick announcements at the end. This poem is called "It's What We Do. I Wish You Really Knew," adapted from an unknown author by Mark Bashore, Fire Chief, Prince George's County, Maryland, Fire and EMS. I wish for just once you could experience the acrid smell of burning insulation, the foul taste of soot-filled mucus, the eeriness of being unable to see your hand in front of your face, or a host of the other panic-inducing sensations my brethren and I have had to learn to instinctively overcome and control. As we blindly search a smoke-filled bedroom for a trapped child at 3 o'clock in the morning, our palms and knees burning as we crawl, the floor sagging under the weight from under the the floor sagging under our weight from the kitchen ablaze beneath us, with only eerie silence filling the audible void that we so desperately wish could have been filled with the wail of a smoke alarm. It's what we do. I wish you could just once have to cope with a wife's horror at 6 o'clock in the morning as I check her husband of 40 years for a pulse and find none. My crew starts CPR right away, wishing we could bring him back, but knowing intuitively it's probably too late. Yet doing all we can because his wife and family deserve to know everything possible is being done to try and save his life. It's what we do. I wish you could stand beside me just one time in the emergency room as a doctor pronounces the infant my crew has been pouring 110% of their skills into saving for the past 30 minutes. A child who we know will never again say the words, "I love you, Mommy." I wish you could read my thoughts as we extricate an intoxicated teenager from the remains of her automobile, wondering, where are her parents? Wondering, will her family's reaction be when they answer the doorbell an hour from now to find a police officer at the door? It's what we do. I wish you could comprehend what it feels like to have a child tugging at your arm asking, is my mommy going to be okay? Not being able to look in his eyes and not knowing how to answer his plea. One time in your life, you have to comfort a lifelong friend who just saw his buddy having CPR performed on him as the medic unit pulls away. It's what we do. I wish for just one moment you could feel the frustration I experience sitting in the officer's seat, my driver slamming hard on the brake pedal or my arm tugging on the air horn as someone fails to yield the right of way, knowing full well that should they ever need us, the first words out of their mouth would likely be, "What took you so long?" I wish for just one time you could know how it feels to walk in the house and greet my family, not looking forward to explaining that I almost didn't make it back from the last call. It's what we do. I wish you could experience just a tiny portion of the physical, emotional, and mental pain this body has had to overcome, or the skipped meals, the lost sleep, the missed social engagements, or just a fraction of the horrible and needless tragedies these eyes have seen. It's what we do. Hearing all of this, I know you are probably wondering if I am crazy for choosing this as my life's calling. However, for just one moment, I wish you could also experience the camaraderie of my station, or the brotherhood of my crew, or the emotional reward from saving a life, or the personal satisfaction we gain from preserving someone's property, and the unbelievable rush of being able to bring calm to chaos. Unfortunately, unless you have lived the life we live every day, and these gentlemen live every day, you will never completely understand or appreciate who we are, or indeed, that we are firefighters. By the grace of God, it's what we do. I wish you really knew. That concludes our day. If we missed anybody, we try hard not to. Please let me know at the end of the day. I'd also like to just thank a few people. I'd like to thank some of the members of the Boy Scouts Troop 516 who helped us do some yard improvements last week as part of their the time that they need to do to get their merit badges. And I'd also like to thank Gary Lewis of Honeydew Donuts. Every year, Gary supplies us with coffee and donuts, and very kind of him. So thank you. Enjoy the coffee and donuts, and look forward to seeing you all next year. Thank you.